What's up, guys? You guys are watching the Black and Gold podcast. This is Ciro, and I'm with my boy Stache Gordon. We're going to be talking about NXT every week. To start it off, we're going to look at Stand and Deliver 2021, Night 1 and Night 2. Overall, what did you think about the Takeover?
I loved it. Leading into WrestleMania weekend, I definitely had more so high expectations for, I would say, Takeover than WrestleMania itself, primarily being an NXT fan. I thought Night 1 was capped off very well. It had a couple standout matches. I thought Ciampa and Walter had some great spots. Night 2 definitely found its footing a little bit better. The payoff to the gauntlet match, which was a little quizzical to me.
Weird.
Having Bronson go over. I was a little up in the air about it, but they didn't disappoint in the ring. There was very few matches overall that didn't really kick off for me. They all kind of just hit home.
Yeah, and I think that with Night 1 being pretty star heavy and then Night 2 having that main event, non-title main event in O'Reilly and Adam Cole, there was kind of a balance between the two nights. But to start it off, let's get right on into it. We had our first match off the pre-show from Night 1, Zoe Stark defeating Toni Storm, in which was a very huge win for Zoe Stark. Obviously, decent match. I did predict that Toni Storm would take the W in that because I just thought it made the most sense. But it looks like they kind of have a little underdog story building up for Zoe Stark if she's going to take a couple, necessary wins. I thought that Toni Storm was going to be next in line for Raquel Gonzalez now that we have the new champ. But we'll see what goes through that. What did you think about the match?
I think I was surprised, but at the same time, not too surprised. I knew Stark was performing at a very high level when she was doing those programs with Gonzalez and Dakota Kai and Io Shirai. They were definitely throwing her up in the top scene. She was showing she was a very versatile in-ring talent. I don't know how she is on the mic because she hasn't talked that much. She hasn't shown that much personality aside from
a little quiet.
Yeah, coming out in a little bit bright colored attire.
Bright pink. Yeah, she definitely, I think she has the fan power and kind of the tenacity, you'd say, of like a top tier women's wrestler, but I think that giving her the W over Toni Storm definitely can help her change into a bigger star. Because, Toni Storm, former NXT UK Women's Champion, she's had an incredible path of dominance in NXT. So it's a good start for her for sure.
She needed to win that match.
Absolutely.
She, to me, feels like a very early Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Where they have her go out and just show, I can do everything.
Yeah.
And be very ambitious. And she won, I believe, with a roll-up. Right?
Yeah,
so
she did.
It was a glass half full, glass half empty kind of debatable win. Toni Storm can easily bounce back from
Absolutely. And I like how you said that because I think a lot of people, of the casual NXT fans, don't really know the background of Zoe Stark. And it's kind of the same thing with Daniel Bryan. Coming in on this new show and seeing him out of nowhere beat The Miz at Night of Champions to win the United States Championship was kind of like, oh, this guy's actually good, obviously, if he's able to do that. And see her pull up with a big win was definitely a solid match. I gave it 3 Mamma Mias out of 5. Not really, the best match, but to say the least, NXT always has solid matches for sure.
It was definitely a sprint of an opening match. I would give it around 3 Mamma Mia's too.
3 Mamma Mia's,
I don't have my own grading scale. I gotta make one.
Gotta have the grading scale for the great Moro.
It was a fun way to kick it off. It was bringing out a familiar face that I think people weren't expecting to see on the show because she didn't have a match solidified.
And it was so quick too.
Yeah.
But it was like out of nowhere.
It was something you can't really complain about because it was two great athletes going out there and putting on a great opening.
100%. Now we get onto the main card. Phenomenal starter, in my opinion. One of the best matches of the entire takeover. We got Pete Dunne defeating Kushida, in which was a technical masterpiece. You saw a lot of good locks, a lot of good submission moves overall, and I thought that Pete Dunne looked great, but once again, Kushida taking an L and still looking amazing. Bringing it back to Vengeance Day with Kushida versus Johnny Gargano, where you saw Kushida really assert his dominance as a phenomenal wrestler. I thought that the great technicality of the two really paired well. You saw the hoverboard locking a couple times, but that bitter end took it away at the end. What did you think of this match?
just like you, technical masterminds was the first note that I took when I was watching this match. I was blown away by the amount of transitions they were doing. There was one point in particular. I know he did, I think, the hoverboard lock off the top rope.
He did it on the top, yeah.
On the top rope, which is a great spot. But something as simple as he had Pete Dunne, and it's towards the end of the match, I think, and he has him in body scissors, and he's got a Kimura lock.
Yeah.
And Dunne reaches out for the rope, and without letting go of his legs or anything, keeping in the body scissors, he just transitions to the other side, smacks his hand off the rope, and then puts a Kimura in on that. Just that smooth throughout the entire match, and it blew me away. The finish came a little quick.
I thought that it was a good finish, though. I thought that it was very. I said that, like you said, I think we talked about it. It was really quick because it came out of nowhere. It hit that, what was it, the Xplex and the bitter end?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, that was.
It was a quick kind of 1-2, and then it's over. Yeah.
I thought it was very quick, but I think that they did it very smoothly because, I mean, the match was definitely going on for a little too long at that point because I was like, oh, this is the start of the Takeover.
Yeah.
2 hours, really don't have that much time. But they did a very good job on making it a must-watch start to the Takeover for sure, I think.
Let's see here. The other thing I wrote down, concept was a little rushed.
Yes.
And I think it was because...
Literally a day prior.
Literally
a day prior.
Yeah, a day prior the match was made. And then I think it was the week prior he came out and was like, I'm the most, technically gifted guy in the roster. If that's something you had been building up to that point,
probably would have took the cake for best match on the card.
It would have if it had even better build up. So I think
for sure
it suffered in that regard from a lack of build up. Yeah. But it was a great match. So
definitely. I think that you really hit it on the head on that because I would say that the real outcome of WrestleMania and the Takeover weekend was there was probably 2 matches with actual build up. I mean, you could obviously say Cole and O'Reilly. You could argue Balor and Cross, but then, I mean, even you look at Bianca and Sasha, that wasn't really a well built up match either. And
it wasn't well built up. The pieces kind of fell into place.
Yeah, but that's why I was going to say we were lucky that the matches were so highly well delivered that the build up wasn't necessary. But like you said, the build up was a little better. We would have definitely saw more chemistry visible.
If there was more at stake, if I got more out of the body language of Kushida, one final note that I had made on it was no personality from Kushida.
Yeah.
Terrific wrestler.
Phenomenal wrestler,
he sells, he sells moves great.
Yeah.
But who is Kushida?
Mm-hmm.
For the casual fan,
he's Marty McFly Jr.
Exactly. I love his getup. I love the Back to the Future references that he's thrown out there. But I need to know more about who Kushida is.
Agreed.
Who never watched him perform overseas. I'm not sure.
You look at Pete. Yeah, well, he did a lot of stuff overseas in Japan, and then
he's
in the
a
UK,
seasoned veteran
for sure. He's been all around, and he's held a bunch of golds. But like you said about Kushida, it's not the same for Pete Dunne. You look at Pete Dunne, you see this guy is a bruiserweight, like he calls himself. I mean, the guy's got the mouth guard. He walks just like a technical mastermind. And I mean, you're tuning into it. You could even see like, okay, yeah, no, this guy doesn't play. I mean, I remember showing somebody that wasn't really big into wrestling. The first match I showed them was Pete Dunne versus Adam Cole at Survivor Series. And you just see how the limb targeting really comes into effect with him. And it just shows what type of wrestler he is. And I agree that Kushida definitely kind of needs more of a story arc and character behind him. I gave this 3.75 to 4 Mamma Mia's out of 5. I thought that, I didn't want to rank it too high up because it was just the start of it. So maybe if I were to rewatch it, I'd give it a higher rating. But because I was like, okay, this is just going to get better from here, I kind of gave it a little, shoulder rub. But what'd you give it?
I gave it 3.5.
3.5?
If the build had been there, if the pay-per-view of the last Takeover prior had set this up, and we had sort of a segment moving into it over that span of time, and the build-up was there, I would have given it 4.
I agree.
Because the talent and the chemistry and just the excitement was there.
Yeah.
But it was just, I sat back and I went, why am I invested in this? It's
for sure
just thrown together this quick.
Now, when we transition to the next match, the Gauntlet Eliminator, the cluster that we can call it, it just really, really set me off well. So we had the big boy, the thick boy, Bronson Reed defeating Leon Ruff, Isaiah Swerve Scott, Cameron Grimes, LA Knight, and Dexter Lumis. So to start it off, we're going to look back on the night prior where we saw the Battle Royal. I personally believe that they kind of got it wrong, but we got lucky that Pete Dunne and Kushida ended up being well. I feel like it should have been Dunne and Kushida in the Battle Royal, and instead Swerve and Ruff starting the night off with a match, because I would have much rather have seen Dunne, Kushida be more star power. I think that Swerve Scott is phenomenal. One of my favorite wrestlers to watch for sure. But I'm really not high on Leon Ruff. And to just see, kind of the comedic value of this match, I wasn't really a big fan of it. I know that you're just like me, big LA Knight guy. I was absolutely expecting LA Knight to do something more than get absolutely squashed. And the way they built it up was just like, okay, maybe he wins the Battle Royal, he makes a name for himself, loses to Reed the week before, which is fine. Don't forget, Shinsuke took a pin for Otis, and he still looks pretty dang strong. We're not going to be the toxic marks that think everybody gets buried the second they lose.
There's a point to everything.
Exactly.
Absolutely. It's not about wins or losses.
For sure. You gotta break it down more, because at the end of the day, you look at their accolades, but LA Knight getting practically squashed, you could say, in that was very, very weird. And see Bronson Reed take the win. Underwhelming, I think, is my description of that. I thought that the battle, or the Eliminator Gauntlet, had some sweet spots. I did like the whole Cameron Grimes and Swerve Scott money thing that they did, but I wasn't that big of a fan. I gave it 2.75 out of a 5, and maybe that's being a little too harsh. I thought that it ran for a while, and it might have been a little longer than I pleased, but hey, maybe if I rewatch it, I like it more. What do you think?
This is going to be the first one that I think we disagree on.
Really?
I wrote, I think, a small novel in books, or in notes that I wrote.
So we disagree. All right, let's hear it.
Disagree. I will agree that Ruff and Scott should have been given Kushida and Dunn's match.
Okay.
I think they had the rivalry going on, and it's still going on to this day.
Yeah.
So either they're going to kiss and make up and become a heel tag team, or they're just going to fight forever and become the next Owens and Zayn, apparently.
Yeah.
I would have given them the opening kickoff match. I would have had Kushida and Dunn in their place in the gauntlet, obviously.
Yes.
Have them eliminated early on, which would carry over to those two, then in turn having a match on night 2.
Yeah. No,
you can still have their match, but then
that would be phenomenal.
Exactly. You have that extra day of build towards it, and it helps open up the field, shorten the match a little bit, condense it, and then bring the focus in on LA Knight and Dexter Lumis, who had a lot to bring to the table, and Bronson Reed. I thought Bronson Reed got a great reaction. I was never really huge on him.
I'm still not big on him.
I like the guy. He's got a good personality. A lot of the notes I found myself taking on this was Isaiah Scott and how much he stuck out to me. I felt like he
looked great.
He looked like $1 million.
He looked great.
It was his coming out party as a full blown heel. He, I think, had 2 eliminations.
2, yeah, because he eliminated Grimes and he eliminated Ruff, right?
He eliminated Ruff too. Yep.
Or did LA Knight eliminate?
Knight eliminated Loomis because he rolled him up.
Yeah.
And then I forget who eliminated Knight. Or Reed. Reed
eliminated him. Yeah.
He looked great, and he almost beat Reed too. Reed looked like a monster, enduring like 3 of those head kicks. I'm not sure what his moveset, half his things are really called.
Yeah, just big bodied. Slams off the top rope. Yeah, big boy
slams. But I can tell he takes a lot of inspiration from Bam Bam Bigelow.
I was gonna say, we saw at Takeover 30 in the ladder match, he had the Bam Bam Bigelow.
Had the Bam Bam flams on.
Yeah.
And I can respect that. Bam Bam's always gonna be one of my favorite big guys
for
ever
sure.
to do it. He did the little cartwheel thing and everything. I will agree with the both LA Knight and Dexter Lumis exiting way too early, which is another reason why I feel like the match would have benefited from having Dunn and Kushida sort of fighting to a double DQ or a double elimination early on.
I agree. And just to add on, I'm not trying to cut you off, but with LA Knight, losing so early, it's just like, wait a second, this guy was the last entrant, won the Battle Royal to have that last entrant luxury, and he's one of the first guys left in the match still eliminated, and it was just kind of, it didn't make too much sense. And of course, there's bias of me being unhappy with the way that they booked it.
Exactly.
They made Bronson Reed look strong. Though.
They made Bronson Reed look incredible. They absolutely went out of their way. For LA Knight, when he lost clean to Reed, the 2 weeks prior,
yes,
I think
he lost clean, and then they had that weird comedic little suit thingy.
Tommy Boy,
the Tommy Boy, fat guy in a little
absolutely loved it. I don't see the two of them having a good feud together, which is why I'm more happy that they're transitioning. We'll talk about it a little later on. LA Knight working with Dexter Lumis.
Yes.
I think both of those guys have a lot of momentum. I think they have a very bright future, especially as upper mid carders in that scene.
Yeah.
How they did LA Knight dirty in that gauntlet match is something I do agree with.
Yeah.
It was kind of him losing to Reed. It's understandable. I always try to look long term and where can this lead. Next week he wins the gauntlet battle royale to come out last. So I was like, all right, so that paid off. But then they do him dirty again at the pay-per-view. So it's those inconsistencies, that start to get you a little alarmed if you're invested.
And it's kind of a double negative for the two guys. So you look at it, Lumis is not even close to as new as LA Knight. He's been in here for almost a year now since his little feud with Roddy. And still, though, I don't think Lumis is fully over. And that's just because people aren't really... I don't think that he's being booked to be someone to be invested to yet. So maybe putting these two together in a rivalry is great because LA Knight was a Impact and independent wrestling legend, you could say.
Oh, absolutely.
But also, the casual eye might not know him that way. So you look at it like, who's Eli Drake, who's LA Knight, whatever. You look into him and you see him have a good feud with another guy that we got to kind of get behind in Dexter Lumis. I think it'll work out good for them, for sure.
He's going to do enough talking for the both of them, which
for sure
is going to be great because obviously Lumis doesn't talk.
And he does the paintings.
So
you could see some type of mind,
exactly,
mind control.
Lumis has a lot going on as a character.
Yes.
And as somebody who enjoys that aspect of wrestling, I love that.
I do too.
I think he's a very complex character.
I like when they can nail a character complex.
And when they can nail sort of that serious mixed with comedic.
Yeah.
Because usually, they do something a little bit silly, like he could have done those stints with Austin Theory when he kidnapped him and he had the whole Stockholm Syndrome, or like Indy having a crush on him. That could be really silly in a lot of regards, and if this was on SmackDown or Raw,
it'd look terrible.
It would look stupid.
It's like the Viking party or the Viking Prophets.
Exactly.
That looked terrible.
But they're making it work in NXT.
Yes.
It's
agree.
Lovable. It gets a genuine laugh out of me.
Totally agree.
And it doesn't take away from wrestling or the bigger story at hand. So I like it.
Agree. What'd you give it as a total?
Gauntlet, I gave it, scroll down here, I gave it a little 3-piece.
3-piece?
I gave it a 3-piece.
So I gave it 2.753, so, not too different. But now we get into my opinion. You look at, maybe once we get to night 2, my mind will be changed. I think the best match of the Takeover, and there is bias, I'm just going to get that out of the way. Tommaso Ciampa is my favorite wrestler in WWE NXT, but Walter defeating Ciampa, the Ring General versus the Psycho Sicilian, a phenomenal match. My comments were literally, wow, phenomenal match with great storytelling. I thought that, yes, it was a little rushed, but it was almost like so convincing the way that they had Walter kind of assert his dominance weeks prior into pretty much, making a very quick feud, but also kind of put it into that little propelling storyline where you could see more happening than just Walter versus Ciampa. You have Timothy Thatcher with Walter, or with Ciampa, and now they're an asserted tag team who are going to be challenging for the titles eventually. But Thatcher also, years prior, was in ring comp with Walter. And so now there's the fans that are going to be speculating Thatcher to join Walter. And that automatically, I think, you can disagree, just let me know. I think that boosted the rivalry even more because it added us, oh my God, is Thatcher going to turn on him? And, you see a guy like Ciampa, a lot of people don't realize how darn strong he really is. I mean, he is one of the in best shape guys. Him and Rayro, or Eric, whatever you want to call him, two of the most physically unstoppable guys in the company.
He lifted
Walter on the drop off
Celtic cross kind of thing. Yeah,
the air raid crasher off the top rope, and I mean it looked great, and he looked awesome, and I think that this was an all out battle. We'll get into it, but what do you think first about this match?
First note was Ciampa shaved his head.
Yes, I know, because he looked like a hobo who didn't want to get signed to the main roster, so he was trying to convince Vince that he was a trash wrestler.
I think Cornette summed it up really well too, because Cornette really loved this match, and
yeah,
I'm always a mark for hearing his insights.
Oh yeah,
but they did exactly what you expected them to do.
Yes,
and that's not at all a bad thing when it comes to these two guys. We talked a little bit earlier about how the Kushida-Dunn match felt rushed.
Yeah.
This was obviously something that didn't have a long build-up, but they put a lot of effort into the segments that they did put in.
And sorry to cut you off, and to make it the NXT UK Championship title on the line also adds even more of a benefit for the match, you know?
Ooh, we're going to disagree.
Really?
We're going to disagree.
Okay. Well, I feel like I know where you're going to go with it, and I agree with you if it's what you think.
Yeah.
So my thing with making it the NXT UK Championship is a clear winner. Because that was you know who's winning.
Yes.
You are not putting Tommaso Ciampa on a flight to the UK
yes.
and then bring him back in NXT and keep him with Thatcher. If it means
he can stay off SmackDown or Raw, maybe.
Maybe. Exactly. Maybe. Now, but the reason why I liked it, of course, like you said, it kind of spoils it to make it where we know what the heck is going to happen. But I liked it because it added more. Okay, this is a serious match. This is going to be a barn burn. This isn't just going to be, big guy versus little guy, chop versus chop. No, this is going to be a pound for pound, like blood and guts, no pun intended, match where you see a lot of big spots. Looking at it, I mean, I would say it's one of the stiffest matches in NXT recent history. I mean, just the chops from Ciampa that he was delivering to Walter, still ringing in my head to this day. I mean, I can still hear them. And then we talked about it. I'll let you talk about what you thought about the finish, and then we'll discuss it.
It finished quick, right?
Well, it finished with the clothesline.
He did the
chop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he finished with the chop.
He hit him with a chop and pinned him, which I was a little like, but he did hit him with, I think, 2 power bombs.
He hit him with 2 power bombs by the way, one of the most insane kickouts I've seen in a while. Walter practically dogging him on the powerbomb pin. Ciampa somehow able to power out of that huge man, that 290 pounds right on him. It was incredible, but I know the finish came a little quick, but what I did like about it was that the whole match, they were building up the chop.
Yeah.
Broke the announce table.
Which was
missed,
spot of the night.
Yeah.
One of the spots of the night.
Just crazy because
I thought double German suplex.
That double German suplex was crazy. And I could be wrong. He hit him with Willow's Bell, right? Ciampa did. I'm pretty sure Ciampa delivered the Willow's Bell. I could be wrong. I know he hit one of his. I don't think he hit the fairy tale ending. He might have.
He hit one of his finishers.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I also forget, but I know Walter, I think, had
a
near fall at one point.
Yeah, Walter was down for a good. Ciampa also put him in the Fujiwa. He did put him in the armbar, I'm pretty sure, as well. So they just did a good job on making it a dominant display of power from Walter, but also making Ciampa look like a monster.
Absolutely.
I mean, he looked great.
They didn't make it flashy, and with how just sort of grizzled and down to earth these two wrestlers are. You didn't have to make it flashy.
No, I agree with you.
You didn't have to be doing 450s springboards or anything like that.
You didn't have to see any just Johnny Gargano moves.
Just two guys beating the hell out of each other, and I loved it. Going off what you said about it being for the title, you hit the nail right on the head when you said it kind of takes away that suspension of disbelief you would have where it felt like Ciampa's match to lose the entire time, which kind of sucked. It didn't stop me from enjoying the match. But
I mean, while I was watching it, I saw him hit the finish. I was like, it's okay. He's going to keep
it. I was like, things like that. It took away from those big near fall moments.
Absolutely.
And, it removed me from it a little bit. But,
no, and that's why when I said it, I was slowly like, you know what? It wasn't the best idea. I completely agree with you.
I would have gone because I loved what they did with the necklace and the symbolism behind it, the surgery. Yes. They put so much effort and just pure simplicity yet effectiveness in those promos and the time that they had to build it up.
Yeah.
But I would have preferred this to just. I would have liked the last man standing match.
Me too. I like that you said that. I would have loved either or unsanctioned.
Or unsanctioned.
But I know you can't really do that with Kyle and Adam Cole, and then it'll feel like this. But I feel like it benefits them more because Ciampa takes his, flipping 4th Takeover loss in a row.
Exactly.
Walter is on a phenomenal streak, and he still looks strong.
Exactly.
You give him a break, so then he could go fight Rampage Brown and
the next night.
In a match that doesn't really matter. But of course, either way, Walter losing makes him look weak because he had to defend the title the next night. So it was a little iffy, but
there's ways to get around a last man standing too.
There is, yes.
Where you can still look
maybe,
strong. And
maybe Thatcher helps. Maybe Thatcher helps Walter. You never know. You could have turned it
or
into
Thatcher could have helped. Yeah, if Thatcher helped Walter, that could also help. I don't think Ciampa. People like Ciampa enough where it's not going to hurt him.
Yeah, and I think that Ciampa's probably, now that he is an official face, I think he is the most solidified, likable guy on the NXT roster for anybody that's been watching it for more than a year.
Yes.
Because of his journey and because of, we're talking about a practical reign of terror when he was the NXT champion.
Oh, yeah.
But because of his injury and how he came back, he wasn't supposed to be a face. He was a brand new newborn baby face. I mean, this guy was just over, especially going into the War Games.
Exactly.
He's so over.
A lot of Kevin Owen vibes.
Yes. A
lot of Kevin Owen.
Totally agree with you. So I gave it 4 Mamma Mias out of 5. I would say my favorite match of the night. But now we transition to what I wrote down. Maybe we disagree now that I look back on it. But the match of the night. In MSK defeating the Grizzled Young Vets and Legado del Fantasma. I said beautiful finish with high-paced momentum leading to spot after spot. MSK is special, and I'm in love with Wesley's energy. I mean, this guy just reminds me of Jeff Hardy. The way that he'll moonsault into DDTs, or he'll go in there with the springboard moves. I mean, not a drop of energy missing from his moveset,
Oh, yeah.
What did you think of this match?
I had, starting from the build-up to the Takeover Toronto don't tap out spot, I thought the match stole the night.
Me too.
It was so fast-paced.
Amazing.
And you need triple threat tag team matches like that where you have all 3 teams simultaneously having somebody in the ring. I hate the one where there's an odd team out that has to make the random tag. There's no point.
I agree.
Keep it in that triple threat format.
I agree.
They made the most out of it. All 3 teams look like $1 million.
I was going to say, you had the spots where Legado looked like they were going to win.
Yeah.
And then GYV. And then MSK. And then GYV again. Because that was when Drake was in the ring by himself and looked to hit him with that finish. I think the brainbuster finish or whatever. And then, no, MSK came out of literally nowhere and stole the night. I think that, like I said, Wesley and Nash Carter are special. These guys are going to be special.
100%. That match woke me up if from whatever tiredness level I may have been at that point. Yeah. Even though the Ciampa match had just ended.
Yeah.
Going back to that really quickly, I would have loved for this to remain the co-main event because I think it definitely hyped people up.
MSK versus...
Yeah. But I would have loved to see the night close out with Ciampa and Walter.
Me too.
Especially if it was not false count anymore.
Last man standing
match.
See, I love that you said that because I would have honestly enjoyed it as like a 35-minute match because, we're going to finish up this match, but once we get into the next one, I'll explain. But so this match, match of the night, I think we could both agree.
I give it 4.5.
I gave it 4.75 just because tag matches are amazing.
Oh, yeah.
A great tag match, in my opinion, gets more bias for a singles match.
And it's more difficult, too, because there's so many moving parts that you have to be aware of, and I thought all 3 teams gave it 100%. You could definitely tell in the ring.
And, like, to open the forbidden door, I mean, Bucks versus Hangman and Omega is one of my favorite matches of all time, simply because it is a probable, singles match level, probably a 4 out of 5, but because it's a tag match executed with amazing finishes and, little Easter eggs to find in that match with the golden trigger that they did to hint at Ibushi, whatever, just awesome. And when they do that with tag matches like they've been doing in NXT, my favorite NXT match of all time is DIY versus Revival in the Best Out of 3 Falls match.
Toronto?
Yeah, Toronto. That's
outstanding.
One of my favorite matches and one of the most rewatchable matches.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that was amazing. Like I said, 4.75. Beautiful match.
At the beginning of the pay-per-view, and I wrote this quote down because I was like, oh, these 2 matches are going to be pertinent in this night. Sam Roberts, who everybody loves.
Yeah.
He said, NXT may have the best tag team division, but it has the best women's division.
Yes. Absolutely agree with you. I think we were talking about it earlier. I think that they have undisputed the most outstanding and the best women's division in the world. I would not say that they have the best tag division. I just think that AEW is too stacked for it to even be fair. I mean, they have...
Everybody's in a tag team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the thing is all those tag matches are so dang good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, yes, everybody's in a tag team, but that also puts their advantage. They have the best tag team division.
Yeah, I think NXT... obviously we had great, DIY, the Revival, American Alpha was incredible. Even the Ascension back in the day.
Even Murphy and Blake were good.
Blake and Murphy.
Yeah, even they were good. In Ascension, they were the longest reigning champs for a long time.
Exactly.
And I hated AOP, but AOP was great.
I feel like NXT's tag team division is very undervalued, but I feel like it has a lot of potential. I think MSK is going to be the spark that kind of...
They are going to revolutionize the tag
London
division.
and Kendrick style, light it up, bring a lot of more charisma to it.
Absolutely, dude. I like that you said that.
And hopefully wake that tag team division up, because there is a lot of untapped potential in there, especially moving forward with Grizzled Young Veterans, who I think are outstanding. I think they're outstanding.
They're great. And even what do you call it? Legato was good.
Legato was
good. I'm not really big on them. But...
I like the idea of sort of a cartel.
Yeah, I like that because they've got like the Kill Bill motorcycle in the back with the winter falling, and it's sick.
I do like that. I think the cartel themed approach, where you do have a tag team and somebody who's gonna possibly make a push at the North American NXT title.
Yeah.
I think that's big. The one thing that I wish they would change is you have Everrise and you have Breezango, and they're jobbing every single week. You are bringing...
After Breezango was literally like understandable and dominant tag champs.
Because now you have Lorcan and Birch out because Birch got hurt,
which is sad because they're amazing.
Yeah, and Imperium will hopefully be making more of an impact. So
Bartel is great.
Oh, they're great.
They're awesome. Eichner and Bartel are very good together. But so we meet at eyes at the tag division for sure. Great match. And now to piggyback onto what I was saying, I think Walter and Ciampa should have been the main event because Raquel Gonzalez defeating Io Shirai. All right, I have bias. Io Shirai is my favorite women's wrestler. And I just thought that this wasn't her match to lose. But of course, the way that they were building it up, Gonzalez was going to dominate her. And you could have just, at this point, what's the difference? I mean, you had one amazing moonsault off the top Titantron from Io Shirai. I don't know if you remembered it, but during the match, they went outside and she did a moonsault off the top.
Off the
stage ramp, or at the skull.
Yeah.
And what do you call it? That was a phenomenal spot. But after that, it was a squash match. It was a squash.
It felt like they thought of that spot and went, "Oh, this is really cool. Let's do it." And then let's build a match around this spot instead of let's build it around a finish.
Yeah, literally, that's exactly what they did.
As much as the two predecessing matches woke me up and got me amped.
Yes,
and I had a lot of expectation for this because I don't watch a lot of women's wrestling. We were talking about this a little bit before. It loses me to an extent. Nothing against them. They're tremendous athletes. NXT women's wrestling, I do watch.
Yes, I don't miss an NXT women's match.
I am invested. And it's seeing somebody like Shirai and somebody like Gonzalez on paper, you can tell it's going to be the David Goliath approach.
And I think they should have made her pull through.
I think Shirai should have retained.
Yeah.
I don't think Gonzalez has the charisma. I don't think she has the character. She's
just a beast.
I don't know if they're priming the next Rhea Ripley of that division, but she doesn't have the look either.
I think that you build Shirai as... Because if we're being honest, she's just going to be another Kairi Sane.
Yeah,
when she gets to the main roster, she's just going to be another one.
And
I think Io Shirai, in my opinion, is one of the greatest NXT Women's Champions of all time.
She looks like $1 million.
She's amazing.
Even from the entrances.
She's amazing.
You have her coming out. You have the
club
lights,
music. Yeah,
club music does the little back spot thing with the jacket, and she comes out there and she just owns it. She owns the entire...
Awesome gear.
She takes the spotlight, and she looks like a champion.
I agree.
Gonzalez came out there and looked like she was going to do the job for her. She didn't look like she had confidence.
No.
She has like the chain Titantron thing, and she does a flex and then goes to the ring, and I'm like, where's...
And the little side thing.
Yeah, the little side
Dana Brooke over here.
And it's... For most of the match, Shirai wasn't even selling Gonzalez as a threat.
No.
She was working her for most of that match. And then it goes to the end and Gonzalez hits the chokeslam spinebuster thing and then wins. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I agree. To just close off night one, I straight up said 3 out of 5 in parentheses, because of the skull spot.
Yeah,
That's what I put.
For the women's match, I would give it I'll give it a 2.5.
2.5?
I'll give it a 2.5. Just because
I agree with you. Like I said, I would have given it a 2.5, but because of the skull spot,
I like being impartial, but
one of the spots of the night.
Yeah, you can only be impartial to a point. I agree. I like Shirai, but I genuinely don't think Raquel Gonzalez can carry that women's division by herself.
I think that they're going to have to add some storylines to it, and I agree with you.
They're going to have to lean on Dakota Kai's personality.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, they're going to have to put some storylines between those two. So we cap off night 1. We're going to transition to Stand and Deliver night 2. We'll quickly recap and look at the bangers of the night. Stand and Deliver night 2, starting off with a banger. Santos Escobar defeating Jordan Devlin, which was a very necessary stipulation with great spots and overall well done. I was absolutely, I don't know why, but at the point where Devlin got cheated out by Legado when they came out and pushed him off or whatever, I was expecting for Imperium to come help Santos Escobar, because I was like, wait a second. Devlin and Walter have bad blood, yes. But people don't know that. People don't watch the YouTube, the YouTube UK
you gotta
exclusive.
Rep that NXT UK.
You got to rep that NXT UK, and I would have liked to have seen it.
Takeover in NXT.
Yeah,
that is something that I really wish they would do, especially led by Imperium.
Imperium for sure, and to see the NXT Cruiserweight title go to the UK would make it mean more for UK, because you look at it, no one's really paying attention other than me, because I love the NXT UK, but people aren't really following the tag team division in UK, and they're not really following Kaylee Ray because she's kind of boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the NXT UK title is the only draw to UK other than Tyler Bate. You put Devlin, and you know what you do? There's somebody on the NXT UK roster who is going to be a wrestling superstar, and that is Benjamin Carter, who's now Frazier, whatever you want to call him now, but you put him on the map eventually, because he is the David and Goliath worker. I mean, his matches against Brian Cage at GCW, phenomenal matches. Benjamin Carter is going to be something great, but I would have liked to see him and Devlin go back at it, because Devlin and Carter's match in his debut for the Cruiserweight title was beautiful.
Most of the big matches I hear about when it comes from NXT UK is either a match that Walter was involved in.
Yeah, or Tyler Bate.
Yeah, or Tyler Bate, like you said. And it's mostly, it just comes from an ignorance on my end from not really being acquitted with most of these overseas wrestlers.
No, I get that.
And I've seen tremendous talent from the bits and pieces that I've watched, but it's something where if I was to jump headfirst into it now, I would be so far behind.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of, I put most of my attention in NXT, but agreeing 100% with, I would have loved to see some sort of Imperium imposition in the match to side with Devlin. Maybe draw the line between NXT UK and NXT to have another kind of big crossover pay-per-view.
I would love that. Worlds Collide was phenomenal.
Exactly, because in that way you're introducing the American audience to this plethora of amazing talent you have overseas that we just aren't accustomed to.
When they did that United Kingdom Classic tournament for the UK Championship, that was the second that I started going in, watching Jordan Devlin and David Starr matches. Name drop, I'm not supposed to say. But a lot of those UK matches, watching Walter before he came into the UK, before he came into NXT UK, because of how dang good that match was. I mean, you look at that takeover match from Dunn and Bate.
Oh, God.
I would say top 10 undisputedly. A takeover match. That match was phenomenal.
And if that's what's happening every week on NXT UK, I'm missing out.
Yeah.
So it's like, give me more of a reason to watch it, because it's on UK time. So it's on at like 3 in the afternoon. So I would happily go back and watch it.
And you talk about one of the best matches of 2020, Walter versus Ilya Dragunov.
Oh, absolutely.
And people need to start watching that match. Exactly. That match was amazing. That was... You talk about, we probably name dropped Dave Goliath 3 times now. I'm going to say it again. That was the best David Goliath story that I've seen in recent years.
Yeah,
I mean, Ilya looked 50 million times stronger even after taking a pin.
And they
how do you do that?
Too.
How?
Yeah.
I mean, it was great. So, I mean, to just cover the match, good spots. Santos Escobar, very strong champion. And I feel like the only reason why they had him win at that point was so he could break Devlin's record of being the longest reigning champion. But we'll see. We later saw that that's not true. It was kind of useless for Escobar to win. But good match. I gave it a 4 Mamma Mia out of 5. I thought that the spots were cool with the ladder breaking. Believable finish.
I gave it 4 too.
Okay.
To sum it up really quickly on my end, great way to kick off the show.
Yes.
Technically, Dane and Maverick kicked it off by beating Breezango.
Yeah, Breezango.
I don't think we need to talk about
I don't want to talk about it, no.
But Devlin looked like $1 million. Escobar looked like $1 million.
Agreed.
They
agreed.
sold just how much this title meant to both of them.
Yes. Yeah.
Devlin took a ton of dangerous
He
spots.
took some bumps, and then
He
the
took a bump out of the ring.
moonsault off the ladder, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And he almost hit the announce table with his head at one point too. He took some dangerous spots, but they left it all in the ring.
He's a little tubby.
Oh yeah,
Definitely gained some weight over that quarantine.
He put on some muscle, some stomach muscle.
Yeah, it's the Pete Dunne, but the opposite of Pete Dunne.
But I give it 4 stars too. Thought it was great. Thought Escobar winning was the right move because at the end of the day, we're on NXT. We're not on NXT UK.
Agreed.
I would love to see Devlin come back. I would love to see Devlin continue to be a competitor. And you see him talking to later on. Obviously, Kushida wins the title. He had a conversation with him afterwards. Love to see him stick around. But if you're going to set the precedent moving forward at a takeover event, keep the cruiserweight title there, hold the integrity of this kind of cartel that we're building with Phantasmo, and keep them looking dangerous. And I think they did a great job. 20-minute match almost, and I think it was not the longest match of the night.
Yeah, I wonder what the longest match of the night was.
There was one a little longer than it.
Yeah, just a little. So to transition into the next match, we'll kind of breeze right over it. Shotzi and Ember defeated The Way. I thought that I said nothing amazing, decent match with very good spots, small build up, good outcome. Glad that Shotzi and Ember retained. Very entertaining to watch. We'll see what they continue to dish out in the NXT Tag Division, Women's Division. But what did you think of the match? I gave it 3 out of 5.
Well, I love Shotzi Blackheart.
Of course, that's your girl.
Goes without saying.
Yeah.
Kind of becoming an Indy Hartwell fan in these recent
yeah.
But I love what they're doing with The Way. I love that they have now the platform to, instead of just going for the women's title, now they have women's tag team championships, which are very pertinent to The Way because they have 2 very talented women on the roster.
Yeah.
I think Indy can learn a lot from working alongside Candice LeRae.
Yeah.
I think Ember and Shotzi holding the titles in the first place and continuing to hold them is a good idea. They definitely have the aesthetic and the look and the build of a legitimate team.
And they look like an actual team. Like I just pretty much said what you said. I didn't realize it, but they literally look like.
It was a quick match. Obviously, there wasn't a lot of build up to it because there didn't need to be. It was an appropriate match. They had a great title defense. Shotzi's going to break her neck one of these days doing those suicide dives.
Yeah, I was going to say those.
But
Tope suicide.
I mean, I would give it. Not an insulting 2.5 stars.
No, I agree.
But a well-earned 2.5 stars because it didn't need to be there, but it didn't disappoint me. It was a
kind
good
of
match.
like an extra credit.
Yeah, it set out for what it accomplished, and it was a match on the card that I don't regret watching.
Yeah.
So,
we transition into probably the most surprisingly good match of the night. Gargano defeating Bronson Reed. And literally, my note is Johnny Wrestling does it again.
Oh, absolutely.
Gargano delivered greatly. And, I mean, he is just phenomenal at overselling bigger guys and also having them sell him. I mean, it was just very, very good. It's an awesome match that did shockingly well with really no build-up. An awesome finish. Loved the finish, as well as making Reed still look strong because he's a big Bubba Beast. And I gave it 4 out of 5. One of the best of this night.
4 out of 5. Wow.
Yeah, I gave it a 4.
I give it a 3.5.
Solid.
Right there with you. Johnny Gargano is probably one of the most reliable. It's Johnny Takeover.
Yeah.
You put Johnny Takeover on a card.
I'd say he is the most reliable worker in the company.
And I was going to say, I was watching a watch along in his, I think, 2 out of 3 falls match against Cole that he did with The Way on WWE Network. And they were talking about how he never gets nervous before a takeover match. Yeah. He gets excited. And you can see that. He sells the severity of the match and the importance of the match through his body language. I had no expectation when Reed won that gauntlet match that this would be good because I was hoping for Loomis. I'm sure a lot of people were hoping for LA Knight. I was too, somewhat. But for this being a match no one expected, it didn't disappoint. I think Austin Theory is continuing to grow as one of the funniest guys in the company. Business.
Yeah,
I love the guy to death. But Reed looked like $1 million.
I mean, when he got bodied outside.
Yeah,
that was hilarious.
he's entertaining. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about Theory later and how they keep putting him in matches on regular NXT TV that
he doesn't need to be in.
He doesn't need to be in it,
but they help him.
Exactly, they help him grow in ring and show more of his talent. But
I think people do realize now, though, that his failed main roster thing to the speaking out movement definitely did really affect him negatively. Because he wrestled at WrestleMania 36.
Yeah,
he wrestled with Garza. Right?
And he worked alongside Rollins, and he worked alongside with
the Monday Night Disciples.
Yeah, some big name guys. It was strange that they called him up that quickly
because he wasn't really determined enough, or not determined. I would say he wasn't really figured out enough on the.
Nobody
NXT.
had any respect for him.
Agreed.
When he came up there, which was unfortunate because he had a great Evolved.
He was great in Evolved. Yeah,
excellent in Evolved.
He's a champ.
Yeah. Final champ.
Yeah.
Right before
Final champ.
And I mean, like I said, 3.5 stars. Reed, they kept him looking strong. It was important for Gargano to win. You're continuing to build up that mid card. And for me, the mid card is more exciting than the main card.
Agreed. Especially with who we have in the main roster right now.
Exactly. Because you get more workhorse matches from that North American.
I would much rather watch Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Kushida, Escobar, Devlin,
even
Theory,
guys like Cole, and
Cole,
Roddy Strong,
O'Reilly,
incredible.
Strong. I mean, I could just keep going. Those are just guys that come.
You're not limited when it comes to a mid card title,
no.
And you will work your ass off to achieve it. And I absolutely love that. I think Bronson Reed has a bright future. I think Gargano is going to continue to set the bar.
I think he is going to be the John Cena of the United States Open Challenge. I think that he is going to continue because if we're going to be honest here. The year of 2020 was a very, very rough year of the North American title when Keith Lee lost it. And
pencil down.
Let me go grab that. I've been flailing this thing all day. Wacky waving and flailing inflatable tube man. But what do you call it? I think that Gargano has resurged after Priest's really kind of feel good win. And then Gargano beats him, and then Ruff beats him.
The Priest win was strange for me.
It's probably the most forgotten NXT victory next to Adrian Neville's NXT Tag Championship.
Yeah, Priest never clicked as a character for me. He looked like...
I love Priest.
He looks like Baron Corbin, but he sounds like Roman Reigns. And when I close my eyes, I can't tell the difference between their voices.
He does kind of just remind me of Puerto Rican Corbin.
Yeah. But, I mean, and then obviously Ruff winning the title was...
That was terrible.
It was strange.
Because we were both actually fine with it. I remember we talked about it.
I was fine with it because it's a new face bringing, but I don't think he has the... And I put this in my notes earlier, does Ruff have what it takes to succeed at the level that he's wrestling at right now? Or are they just going to turn him into a jobber?
It's because he's young.
Yeah.
He's young.
He's talented, but he's got to put some weight on.
Yeah. He literally looks like me out there.
Gotta put some weight on.
I'm going to put some trunks on.
He's got the Kofi Bird chest, and he's...
Yeah. Gotta put some weight on.
Talented, but...
All right, Vince, buff him up.
Buff him up. But... great match. I love the mid card. Always going to be one of the things that I centralize on when I watch NXT is what's going on in that mid card scene.
Now we transition to, and I do agree with you, but now we transition to the match that put me into a depression.
That wasn't the main event.
It was
and
weird.
I understand why after watching the main event.
I get it. But Cross versus Balor. All right. Karrion Kross defeats Finn Balor, and he is now, like we talked about, a two-time partner. Two-time NXT champion with less than a month total of reign. And, I mean, it's phenomenal. He's going to go down as another Edge with the world titles, where Edge just is amazing and has, 100 days total with, 10 freaking reigns?
Oh, yeah.
Which is crazy. But, Karrion Kross, I think that he is somebody that could be very believable. But I just don't think it was the time. I think Finn Balor did something with the NXT title that was really, really special. I think his ability to make it, kind of like that, you want some, come get some mentality. And Finn Balor is, I would say...
had a Conor McGregor approach.
Yeah. He kind of he's the main card, main event version of Johnny Gargano. He makes anybody look good. And of course, he had two of the best matches of 2020 with O'Reilly, or sorry, one of 2021 and one in 2020.
Oh, yeah.
With O'Reilly. And I mean, that was both of them just being phenomenal workers and phenomenal technical wrestlers. But seeing Balor against Cross was just kind of disappointing because we knew what was going to happen at that point. Cross is still singles-wise undefeated, and he is still on that kind of... This was his first good match, I would say. I would say this was his first good match. I don't think that it was great. And I think that... Do you think he's had better matches?
Yes.
If you say the Ciampa one, I'm going to have to...
No.
The Keith Lee?
No. His... Was it a no holds barred match?
Oh, against Santos Escobar.
Santos Escobar.
Yes.
That sold me on Karrion Kross. Before that, all I was seeing was...
No, you know what? I'm going to bite my tongue, and I agree with you because I regret what I said.
All I was seeing was Saito suplexes, rear naked chokes. His entrance is amazing.
I love it.
His approach, his demeanor, everything is there.
Yeah.
But it's very smoke and mirrors when he steps into the ring, does like essentially 5 or 6 moves.
Yeah.
And then wins a match, and then growls at the camera, and then Scarlett.
He's got the look.
He's got the look.
He's got the entrance.
Something.
He's got the manager.
Something isn't just clicking in that in-ring department.
I think it's the Saito suplex.
It might be the Saito suplex. I'm a little salty that he can almost kill Danny Burch with the thing.
Yeah, he almost killed Keith Lee with it too.
Oh yeah,
he also killed himself with it.
Yeah, and this is one of those matches where on paper it makes sense to have, especially at this stage in Takeover, leading into WrestleMania.
Leading into the
that's
brand
your big
new
money match.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Going back to what we were saying about Io Shirai and Raquel Gonzalez,
you kind of agree with
it. Felt like that, where Balor comes out, and even before that, the promos they were cutting when he was like, "I'm gonna drag you out into the water and drown you out there." Balor sold the fight for me.
Yeah.
He looked like $1 million as champion. He comes out looking
with the red X on his chest.
Comes out with the red X calling him out. He was incredible, and he was probably on that top pedestal. He deserved to be on that top pedestal.
I agree.
On the top of that mountain.
I think he reinvented himself after probably, I'd say, the saddest main roster run in...
Disappointing.
In the last 20 years.
And
now he's able to come back and be the same thing because now that opens the eyes of main roster fans saying, oh, wait, he didn't get bad. He just wasn't booked right.
Yeah.
I mean, that match against Brock Lesnar at Royal Rumble, was it 2019 for the Universal Championship? Yeah. It was actually really good.
It was good.
Really good. And then after that, just disappeared.
They didn't know what to do with him. And it sucks, too, because when he came in, he won 2015, he won the first Universal Championship off Rollins.
He did.
And he beat Roman clean on his first night. So he had quite the run, and then obviously he was halted with the shoulder injury. And I think they were afraid to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And I think this run showed them, I'll go out and kick everybody's ass.
But you know what the thing is that people aren't giving the credit to? The freaking booking.
Oh, yeah.
Fighting Balor, then fighting Priest, then fighting Timothy Thatcher, in 3 phenomenal matches, some of his best matches of his recent career.
Oh, yeah.
And then goes on to that big, what was it, the Fatal 4-Way, or was it the 5-Way? I can't remember, with Ciampa, Gargano, Cole, Balor. And was there someone else when they did the, Iron Man match?
Oh, it was Cole, Gargano, Ciampa, and Balor. Yeah.
That was it? It was just a 4?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so they had that.
That match should have been match of the year.
Yeah, that was...
But it something
because of the finish, because they wanted to make it Balor versus Cole, because that was the one match that we never really got.
But I remember for build-ups, that was one of the most anticipated I was towards a match.
For sure.
And I remember it not really clicking for me 100%,
exactly.
Which was disappointing, because all 4 of those guys are outstanding.
Are amazing, yeah. So Balor versus Cross, solid match. I gave it a 3-5, solely because, Balor did his thing to make the guy look like a monster, but I wasn't really too happy with it.
It was a fine match for what it was. I agree. I'd give it around a 3. I was disappointed in the finish, not to hate on Karrion Kross. I don't think he's bad. I think he has to take all of that build that he has on the mic, and all of that presence, and he has to put it.
Because he can talk. He's a good talker.
Yeah, he's a great talker, and he has to put it just into his match and just tell more of a story when you're having a match. Because when you yell and you hit a big boot and then a forearm to the back of the head and then a dangerous side
to a guy that can kick out about 15 finishers.
Yeah. Then it's just kind of like, all right, a little underwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I would say is the biggest thing of that. It's just underwhelming to me, the matches that he's put on. Aside from that no holds barred
match. Yeah.
Because he just got to beat the hell out of people.
Yeah.
And he wasn't restricted to just doing wrestling.
Yeah.
Him as a hardcore fighter.
Oh my god.
Awesome. You give that guy.
Oh my god. Put him in MLW
no DQ
or
match.
GCW.
They should have made that a no DQ match.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
Sure. Well, now it is time for the main event. Crackhead O'Reilly versus Adam Cole.
Oh my god.
Kyle O'Reilly defeating Adam Cole. We'll talk about the funny schematics at the end of the match. We had a pretty funny conversation about it. So Kyle O'Reilly defeats Adam Cole in an unsanctioned match. What does that mean? Doesn't count. So O'Reilly getting one of the biggest wins of his career, as far as, he's beaten Cole before in ROH for the ROH championship. But Kyle O'Reilly defeating him in what I said was an amazing build-up. I'm wearing the Undisputed Era hoodie now.
Oh, yeah.
Greatest, I'd say a great battle. My takeaway, very, very crappy themes. I think that the theme songs...
Nobody had any good thing to say about the theme.
No.
They should have kept like a rendition of the Undisputed Era theme for Cole's.
Or just buy the I got something for you.
Yeah.
Or bring back the Red Dragon theme
or
song.
Just come out playing Panama by Van Halen because he's a Panama City Playboy.
Yeah, exactly. Or I'll give you the reason. The Red Dragon theme song from ROH. Yeah. That'd be pretty cool for O'Reilly because that was his theme song. I said solid match for sure with a surprise finish, I'd say. Bringing in that axe and smash mentality, bringing it back. Kyle O'Reilly kind of patenting the new finisher, the knee off the top rope. Obviously he's been doing that. Yeah, that was crazy. With chain.
Cole sold that.
Great. He was doing a little...
Yeah, he did the jitter and everything.
The little jitter.
He sold that. Cole's body language said that entire match.
Yeah,
for
sure.
He was legitimately needed help.
So what are your final thoughts of it?
It felt like the main event. I watched the whole thing going, Kyle's going to win, Cole's going to go over, or Cole's going to put Kyle over, and then I was expecting Cole to show up on Mania.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be immediate. It obviously, from the end of the match...
And he's returning this week.
Yeah.
He's returning tomorrow, or tonight.
It's a good thing they waited this long to return him because it's actually selling the length of the injuries and just how big of a match it was.
Yeah.
If he comes back and they set up another match... That's going to kind of upset me a little bit.
It's going to upset me because I just want this to be
people will watch it.
All right.
You kind of just have
I love the Undisputed Era boys, but let's go that way now.
Yeah.
Let's go that way. Because Kyle O'Reilly is now sorry for cutting you off, but he is now an official singles fighter. Yeah. He is now somebody, because if that Balor versus O'Reilly match wasn't enough for you, seeing this, he beat one of the best wrestlers in NXT history just like that in a match that might not mean anything to the records, but to him, that makes him look strong. Put him in the card, and there's only one thing you can do with Adam Cole at this point. Put the WWE Championship on him.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the only thing you can do with him.
You got to skyrocket him.
That's the only thing you can do with him. He needs to have the AJ Styles treatment because he is the only guy besides Shinsuke that has come into the WWE with that much anticipation. Because Samoa Joe did very well, but people don't realize he wasn't really at the top of his game in the last years of Impact. He was still Samoa Joe, but once he went to NXT, he kind of redefined himself. Yeah. Adam Cole going into NXT was the hottest name in the market. Now going to the main roster, he'll be the hottest wrestler in the market.
I think Joe was coming up to the main roster at the same time where Lesnar was still Universal Champion.
But it was also very bad.
Beast.
Yeah, you're not dropping the belt to Joe.
Yeah.
Even though I would have liked to see Reigns drop the belt to Joe, you're not dropping Lesnar's belt to Joe. Because Lesnar has been established, you can only drop the belt to Rollins and Reigns. That's it.
Couple nut shots and 7 finishers.
Yeah, I know, right? So, I gave this 4 Mamma Mias out of 5 solely for the insane amount of spots in this thing. The spots were crazy.
Spots were nuts.
Spots were crazy. What do you give it?
I give it a 4.
4?
I
know some pretty high rating by I know some of you marks are going to come at us for the high rating.
I want to save it. I want to save a 5-star for something.
I'm not giving a 5 unless it's like Walter versus Ilya or something
If I was at that arena, I wouldn't have been able to make eye contact with Kyle O'Reilly because he walks out. Dude walks out looking like he's tweaking on bath salts. And
Looking for some Marlboros.
yes, you have any cigarettes? I was like, oh my God, Kyle. I don't know what the hell he was doing. I did with the jitters and everything.
Well, I mean, he's always had that kind of like.
I know, like the air guitar, but like it wasn't even that.
That
He
wasn't
looked
that.
like
He was literally just like.
he looked like a tweaker going to like a 7-Eleven to buy a coffee and freaking menthols, and I was like, what the hell is this? To speak on to end out the pay-per-view portion really quick. Something about Kyle O'Reilly I can't buy as a champion.
Really?
When I look at guys like Finn Balor,
Wow.
when I look at guys like kind of Keith Lee, I love Keith Lee. I think he's an outstanding wrestler. I no complaints about him, but I don't think he's on the promo department where guys like Balor are.
I know what you're saying. I get it. I get what you're saying. Okay.
He says what he has to say, but he doesn't go that. It doesn't hit that extra
If
note.
you are looking for a WWE champion that can talk to the crowd for 10 minutes every night, I think that Keith Lee is your guy still. I think
He's
that
a
Keith
chill
Lee,
dude, and I think because of that,
Keith
people
Lee
love
can
him.
cut promos because what he does is he incorporates stuff from his past.
Yeah.
He incorporates his road, but he also does that mean, diss game where he talks about, you will bask in my glory, and he does that direct stare into the camera.
But
where,
it's the intensity that I think
Finn
that
Balor can
drives
straight up
home,
have
that Cross
a
drives
crowd.
home.
He can stand in the center of the ring with 0 people in the crowd, and somehow everybody there will be intimidated.
Yeah, where it's more than just like, oh, I like this guy, enjoy this promo. Where it's actually, it hits you right here, and you're like, oh, okay, like you're selling me on this fight. Kyle, throughout that entire thing, and the segments were written terrific.
Yeah.
I thought,
get out of my gym, blah blah blah.
Yeah, with some exceptions.
T-Bone Tim, get out! I'm gonna beat your ass.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
But I mean, Cole, especially with the imagine you were born blind and then one day you could see. I thought that was an
amazing.
Outstanding bit of talking by Cole. I think Cole is on that level too.
Yeah.
Where he emotionally sells you on a fight.
Him, Gargano, Ciampa, and Balor are the gods of promos in NXT.
Ciampa with the
Daddy's
meaning
home,
of
Goldie.
Yeah, the meaning of the necklace and everything. Gargano now more so is hilarious, but it's Gargano.
Gargano's just great because being Johnny Wrestling, he was very believable.
Exactly,
very believable.
Kyle O'Reilly, to me, every time he talks, he sounds like he just finished crying, and I can't get over it. It doesn't sound.
Kyle is my boy, and I have absolute bias.
I'm sure he's a great guy. I put on a great match, and I'm not trying to garbage talk him.
I love him. I think that he is perfect for the NXT title.
He's gotta either hit puberty or he's gotta something with that promo.
Man, you're out of your mind.
But the match was great.
No, I thought
love
it was
seeing him out there.
I thought it was a good match. I'd say overall, stand and deliver. Like we talked about at the start, I thought it was a very good takeover. I thought that giving it 2 nights was necessary because they wanted to bring that build up.
It lets everything spread out, and it gives everything to have its own platform, which I like.
Absolutely.
I loved it as well. I don't know what you gave it as an entire grade.
I would probably give it a B, like a B plus.
I'd give it a B.
I'd say if I were to give it an A, that would just mean that there'd have to be a 5-star match.
I'd do a B plus. Actually, I'd do a B plus.
I'd say B plus, but
I'll pay it the respects.
Yeah, because the MSK match was probably the match of the takeover. I'd say. You got closest thing to a 5-star, Ciampa and Walter. You got Devlin and Escobar.
Very underappreciated match. They woke up that cruiserweight division.
For sure.
That cruiserweight division was dead, buried. They dug it up.
Mm-hmm.
This pandemic.
I'd say the last good champion from the cruiserweight. I mean, Leo Rush was cool, but I mean, does anybody even really remember Angel Garza?
Yeah, exactly.
And Devlin B. Garza, right?
Before these guys, it was like,
Neville was the last really amazing.
Neville was the last notable guy who was on the level that they're at.
I'd say
now.
Cedric, right?
I'd say Cedric just because I love watching Cedric wrestle.
Yeah.
I think Cedric is.
I agree. You're right.
But they woke up that entire division, so I think that match definitely needs the credit it deserves.
I agree. So to start up on the I'd say the ending half of the pod, get into that NXT recap from the past couple weeks since the takeover. We'll start it off with the biggest shocker, NXT Tuesday. Kushida defeating Escobar.
All the buildup.
Where did that go? I am completely fine with Kushida being the champion because you finally get a belt around him. But yeah, Santos Escobar. He's gonna bring in the money. Yeah, he's gonna beat Devlin in a ladder match. Yeah, nope, lose to Kushida almost the next night.
You know what it reminded me of was when AJ Lee dropped the title
to Paige.
Yeah,
it was so random.
And I love the result.
Me
and
too.
I know people were mad because they think
just a roll up, right? Didn't he win with a roll up, Kushida?
I think so.
Yeah, he won with
I don't think he won. Yeah, he didn't have like a definitive win, which is good because you're protecting Escobar. And a lot of people are upset because they're like, "Oh, you built up Escobar this much. He just had this great match. What else are you going to do with him? Strike while the fire is hot."
Yeah.
And I said it earlier.
If you really like him, you would accept the fact that maybe the cruiserweight isn't his position. He should be in the mid card or
he's
even the main card.
He's above cruiserweight status right now.
And if you can't admit that, you're just
not that it's
yourself.
an insult either.
Yeah, no, it's not. That's a good thing.
He's run through the entire division. He's
has
been the champion for, if not a year, almost a
destroyed
year.
Kurt Stallion, destroyed Grand Metalik, destroyed Drake Maverick.
He's shown that as a unit, Phantasmo is dirty.
Yeah,
they are incredible. Yeah. And now you're giving him a platform to go up and call out guys. Plus, he's fresh off a very quick program with the now champion, Karrion Kross. They had not an unsanctioned, I keep wanting to call it that.
False count. Anywhere, whatever.
False count, yeah. The loss here, I know it was quick.
It was just funny.
They ripped the Band-Aid off fast. But at the end of the day, he had nothing else to accomplish in that division.
I agree.
You're putting it on a fresh face, and now you can kind of backtrack and start fresh.
Yeah.
And it seems like Kushida's doing the open challenge route, which I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
You got Sheamus kind of doing that on the main roster, where
I got some. I've got some like prediction that isn't really. We're not going to go way too into the main roster, but I really think that Drew's going to lose at Backlash, and then Drew's going to go against Sheamus. And that's the only way that you can, if you really want to keep him out of the...
Well, because Strowman just qualified.
Yeah, Roman's getting the triple threat now or whatever.
That's the main
Which is... That's... All right, enough.
Those are old guys.
Those are... those are the guys that will be hanging up their boots pretty soon.
I think it was a necessary, safe loss for Escobar. I understand people don't want to see the title taken off him, but... It's better to get it off of him quick while he has this much momentum and just throw him into a big time feud.
Absolutely. And if you're just going to throw him right into the feud right now, I think that's the best way to do it. I don't think that you wait any longer. You make him lose and then get him out of the option and then...
Exactly. By no means is it an insult to Escobar and all that he accomplished over the last year. More so it's, hey, we're going to get this title off you. You kicked everybody's ass. You're going to win it. He didn't get beaten definitively, like we said. He didn't tap out.
With the Intercontinental title. Remember? He beat Regal, was a very good Intercontinental champion, wins the Money in the Bank, and then they kind of finally push him into something.
It was a necessary step to advancing him and Phantasmo's status on the roster. And you give Kushida a title and let the technical mastermind work his craft. He's holding open challenges. I would love, and I don't want to dig too much into the main roster, but you have cruiserweights now, not just on 205 Live, because that got canceled, I'm pretty sure.
Well, pretty much, yeah.
Sort of spread out all over the place.
They do 205 NXT, so they have unnecessary matches. The only necessary match to happen out of 205 Live so far has been the Kurt Stallion qualifier match.
Yeah, but I would love to see this open challenge as a platform to bring in guys like Cedric.
Or do what, once again, matches. Forbidden Door, but... What Cody Rhodes did with the TNT Championship to literally bring in guys like Warhorse, guys like Eddie Kingston.
Kota Ibushi.
Come on now. Like, you could literally...
Give a journeyman like Kushida that title, and you have the pull to have people just based off his status alone.
Bring in independent guys or smaller guys to let us know, okay, wait a second. We're the big bad WWE who have the, best in the world, so let's see some of the smaller half.
You know who I want to see him fight?
Who? Kushida? Is he in NXT?
Nope. I want to see Kushida. I don't know if he weighs 205 pounds anymore. Okay. I want to see Kushida versus Rey Mysterio.
Oh,
for the cruiserweight title.
That would be sick, because that would really... dude, that's a pretty damn good plan. I like that.
And then have maybe Dominic, where I'm not a big Dominic fan.
I'm not either, but he's impressive.
But I've been one of those guys who was like, throw him on NXT, have him earn his stripes. People get more respect for him than just being bring your kid to work.
Yeah, exactly.
So have him come to NXT.
There's so many guys on the main roster that should be on that route.
Have him.
I would have loved to seen. I personally would have loved to see what do you call it? Cedric Alexander have more time on NXT. Shinsuke back in NXT.
Exactly.
I mean, you know how they did Finn Balor? They brought it so he could be the veteran. So he could help put guys over and, you know, kind of do that, right? Do that with somebody else.
Exactly.
Dude, they should have done that with Joe. Do that with Shinsuke. Heck, Bobby Roode maybe if they don't know what to do with the Dirty Dogs, which is one of my favorite things in wrestling right now.
Dirty Dogs.
Love the Dirty Dogs. Because, I mean, honestly, we always talk about it. Stache's favorite wrestler of all time, Rick Rude. And I'd say outside of the current day, my favorite wrestler of all time is Mr. Perfect.
And you get the Perfect Rude vibes.
And Perfect Rude, that's literally Ziggler and Rude.
Yeah.
You know? And I love them. So, really, really just awesome tag team. But to go back to NXT... But we could talk about Rude and Perfect all day.
I would love to see him bringing in guys for one-offs off the main roster. I think it brings a lot of attention, not just to NXT.
Let me ask you a question. Did you watch the Worlds Collide with Harper versus Dijakovic?
Yes.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
To see somebody from SmackDown fight someone that is a young star on NXT is great. I like that a lot. I thought that was an amazing match.
Guy's just like 35.
I know. He's
still in his prime.
He's still in his prime. Dominic Dickhead.
Shame to see him pulled up before he
those little tights. What the heck was he wearing? Phelps over here.
T-bar.
T-bar. Sorry, Mason T-bar. So now we go into just briefly cover it because I think it's funny to talk about India and Loomis's love story.
I love it.
I thought it's a really good comedic.
It's fun.
Good comedy for sure.
There's cringe comedy that WWE is very well known for doing, and I know some people were like
Old Spice. the Old
Night
Spice
Panther.
guy, the Night Panther.
I crack up.
It's so funny, but it's so cringe.
It's a lot of the stuff, and especially anything with the way segments,
so
whether it was the therapy segments, backstage segments.
We didn't get to talk about. I love Gargano's toyetic attire.
Oh, God,
that was so sick.
He always does Marvel-inspired
know.
attires, and I know Candice did too. I think
Didn't she do Mandalorian?
Thor.
Oh yeah, because she had the little cape on the side. You're right. I forgot about that. That's sick. Yeah, no. So India and Loomis, funny.
It's harmless. Yeah. It's not going to hurt Loomis at all.
And it's not going to hurt India.
It's giving them TV time. It's giving them room to grow. Loomis isn't going to be goofy and silly. He's going to be the same strange, kidnappy guy that you've come to expect out of him. And
phenomenal artist, by the way.
Phenomenal artist. Absolutely.
I'm really thinking of purchasing one of the things.
I didn't know it was actually him doing this, but yeah,
he's great.
But he it's a great way to keep on TV, and I see the reception warming up a lot when I look at NXT posting about it and stuff. People are on board with it. It's fun. Let them have their TV time.
I like it.
Love Loomis, especially now if he's moving into a feud with LA Knight.
Yeah,
those are two guys you're gonna want to see
for sure.
At least having a main event one of these nights before Takeover.
Absolutely. So now we go on to GYV, Grizzled Young Veterans defeating Breezango. Solid match. It was more like Grizzled Young Veterans, showing that they still are going to be in the conversation.
Breezango's putting people over. It bums me out.
And it's sad because both are phenomenal workers.
They're talented.
They are great.
I think Dango's probably like almost 40 at this point.
Yeah, dude. And Breeze is great.
Breeze is amazing.
Breeze is so good.
You'll see Breeze probably maybe this week do the open challenge for that cruiserweight title if he makes weight.
Honestly, if I'm like,
and he'll put on a fantastic.
I hate to say this, I just feel like Leon Ruff is gonna be in there.
Is there a weight limit? Jesus, he's gonna fight Scott for a bunch of more weeks. And a big note that I made too that I forgot to touch upon during their gauntlet match was when you saw that brief segment sort of work between Scott and Grimes. I wrote down, I was like, these two would make a very interesting tag team with Grimes funding Isaiah Scott.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. As him like the DiBiase Virgil vibes.
Yeah, but obviously not like not racist, Virgil at all. no, not like Virgil. Like Scott has a really good heel gimmick going on. Him taking advantage of Grimes's money and just kind of how dim-witted Grimes overall is.
Which, by the way, I'm just going to interrupt you. I think Grimes is one of the best acts in wrestling right now.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he's 100%. The most entertaining non-AEW wrestler.
His music video was hilarious.
Which is
such an entertaining guy, such a vibrant presence. I know they're doing work with him and Ted DiBiase, actually.
Yeah.
I think DiBiase's
Yeah.
going backstage to do some segments with him.
Yeah.
It's going to be huge for him.
For sure.
And, great job to Grimes, too, for getting himself over just from what he's accomplishing in real life.
Yeah.
Capitalizing
and straight
on
up
those
just
game
being
stonks.
a comedic god. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
the GameStop.
And it's... love Grimes. Obviously he, in the most recent main event, didn't go over Kyle O'Reilly.
Well, yeah, I was just going to transition. Kyle Cassidy and the Orange Cassidy.
Orange Cassidy Jr.
Jr., yeah.
It's
O'Reilly beating Grimes with the knee to the head.
expected.
You were not going to have.
It was
O'Reilly,
a filler until Cole came back to see what was going to happen next, and you don't.
Got something for you. I'm telling you, they're going to bring that theme back.
And you don't want Cole versus O'Reilly again.
I don't. I really don't. I really
don't.
do not.
You
Because
want-
the only match that I could take multiple times is Ciampa and Gargano.
Exactly.
Or DIY and Revival.
It's not always. It shouldn't always be a challenge to how can we one up our last match. Sometimes it's just
what can we do with these guys after?
what can we do now to capitalize on the momentum both of us have? Because now you have a very pissed off Cole coming back this week, which
I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Well,
hold up,
we had to
hold
talk
up.
about Roddy.
I think Roddy's going to challenge Kushida. I think he's 205.
He is, because I think he was in the Cruiserweight
He was in the
tournament.
Cruiserweight tournament.
He was on 205 a couple times, too.
Yeah. I would love to see Roddy versus Kushida.
Yeah, but he's gonna lose.
You think?
When I see Roddy come back, I want it to mean something.
I want Roddy as the NXT champion.
It broke my heart when poor Roddy. And by the way, how is Kyle?
He's in the alumni, by the way.
He's in the alumni. How is Kyle the face in this big scenario? When
Well, he was just playing a kind of D-bag as far
played a
as betraying
D-bag.
the Undisputed Era
Yeah.
with going to Finn.
and then in the backstage segment though, Roddy was like, "Hey, go kick Adam's ass for what he did to us," and Kyle's just like, "There's no us anymore," and I was like, "Fuck you, Kyle." I was like, "Oh my god."
There is no
His little
us.
pouty face.
It's just me.
It's just me.
You got a siggy butt.
Oh,
You got...
Kyle. And I was like, poor Roddy. And then he dips, doesn't go to the gauntlet. And I'm just like, all right.
Cool.
Yes, he's done. So I'm interested to see what they do with him. I
Yeah.
hope it's something big planned.
For sure.
I hope we see it soon. We miss you, Roddy.
We miss you, Roddy.
I love Roddy.
Two big Roddy marks right here.
My favorite undisputed guy.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
And the Heartache.
100%. End of Heartache, and also theme song End of Heartache back in ROH.
Oh, absolutely.
Love Kill Switch Engage. But Kushida No Shoes defeats Lorcan. We don't even really got to touch on it. Just a quick,
Just the 205s
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah.
Just continue doing those open challenges. Expand it, like you said,
Yeah.
to everybody based off, hey, we got Kushida.
I mean, hey, imagine seeing Kushida versus somebody like Rey Mysterio, like you said.
Exactly.
Or even, I mean, yeah, I don't know if he is 205, but
guys
like that, like even Murphy.
Exactly. Guys who have a name for themselves and even on the main
Garza,
roster.
Carrillo.
Yeah. That aren't being
My
utilized.
boy, Drew Gulak.
They got nothing to do over there. You got
Bring
fresh
Drew
faces.
Gulak back to NXT and
I
make him do
miss
something. I mean, Gulak's work.
You want
in
to talk about
GCW.
technical mastermind?
Oh, he's amazing.
Give me Gulak versus
They
Kushida.
had him go over Daniel Bryan.
Give me Gulak versus Kushida versus Bryan.
Versus Pete Dunne.
Versus Dunne. Fatal
Yeah.
4-way.
Yeah.
For the... Actually, Bryan wouldn't do it. But
Yeah.
give me Gulak versus Kushida versus
Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne.
And if you add another person, I mean, Gargano.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could add that for, like, that would be amazing.
Or just throw Austin Theory in there.
Yeah.
Even though he's not 205 pounds, he can just do kip-ups all
he's
the time.
huge.
He's a
But
big
he's a beast. So yeah, Kushida defeats Lorcan, like you said, in a regular 205. Sarai, she debuts defeating the
Beat Stark.
the person that we thought was gonna go over, Zoe
Why?
Stark.
Have her be...
Why?
And I don't think we wrote it down, but we'll talk a little bit about what the hell the Robert Stone brand is doing.
Oh my god, dude, that thing is like the most boring. Like, do you like it?
I think Robert Stone is...
Robert Stone, he's funny.
He's charismatic.
He's charismatic.
But it's so pointless. And a lot of people...
You know why it's pointless? There is not a doubt in my mind that Robert Stone brand is never getting over or winning anything like that is meaningful.
They're just a punching bag.
They're literally just gonna make...
It's an easy way to make somebody...
thing?
Yeah, what did happen with that?
That was like the coolest, like mysterious, like
that was getting crapped on too. And,
I liked it
I was
a
looking at like the
lot.
Bleacher Report grades and stuff, and I was like, it feels like I'm watching a Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Dance.
It feels like a legitimate redemption story.
And like for people that are like, oh, like you complain about like when other wrestling promotions do like silly, outlandish stuff, she's blowing mist in their face, and like
Tajiri was the coolest freaking
Exactly.
thing ever.
I'm like, it's a fun thing. Casey Catanzaro and the other girl,
Kaden Carter.
Kaden Carter.
Yeah.
Great talents. The matches themselves out of, how do you say, Shiley?
Yeah, Xylee.
Xylee. Outside of her, I thought she looked like $1 million.
Yeah, no, she's great. She's got the crazy kicks too. She's literally a Mortal Kombat character.
She was kicking the hell out of everybody. Yeah. Especially now with
And
Mortal Kombat.
it's not like the whole, remember Emelina?
Yeah.
Where they were going to make
God.
Emma is great now.
Yeah.
Okay, Tennille Dashwood is great. And she was still good, but like the way that they kind of just like, all right, she's going to be the next big thing.
They shit the bed on
They,
it.
and same thing with freaking Carmella. They had like this.
I feel like that.
Do you remember that little thing a couple months ago where they were like showing like her back and then her hair and like who is this new?
I feel like that gimmick was being made for Chelsea Green, and then she got hurt.
Yeah.
And then obviously,
I mean, it makes sense. Chelsea Green's great.
Yeah,
Chelsea Green is great. That would have been cool.
She'll be on Impact after her 60 days. Expires.
Hold up, I'm just gonna say this once again. Forbidden Door again.
Robert Stonebrand.
Impact.
Shout out.
Impact Slammiversary. I don't know if you saw. So there was about a 15-second Slammiversary trailer during Impact Rebellion, and there was a bunch of teases. There was a Samoa Joe video, Mickey James, Chelsea Green, Tetsuya Naito, and Kazuchika Okada. Couple other big ones too, but they were all showed in the Slammiversary trailer, like for half a second, and you had to pause it to look at it. And it was actually like,
Impact's making its way back.
Whoa!
Slowly but surely.
Whoa! What do we got over here? Oh, God. Speaking of that, Big Kaz and Impact.
Ooh.
W. Morrissey. What the hell kind of name is that? But, oh my God. Just cluster. But, you know.
Big cluster. But yeah, back to, what were we on? Shiley or Robert Stone?
We were on Sarai defeating Stark.
Oh. Why would you have Stark over...
You literally have her beat,
if you want a jobber...
Tony Storm.
Exactly. You have two jobbers on the Robert Stone brand. Just have them go over them.
Yeah.
At this point, just use them as the whipping posts of NXT.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would just crush that momentum.
At all. Like, literally just have her be one of the biggest names in the NXT Women's
And not
division.
just on Stark's behalf, but on freaking
why don't you just
Tony
have Storm go over for Sarai?
I thought
go over
Storm would have been a better person to take the title off Io Shirai
Then Raquel.
because she has personality.
But
people like her.
You know one thing we forgot about that we kind of messed up on? They have been building up Gonzalez and Shirai.
They have been building
for about 6 months since
they've wanted
when
the match.
Gonzalez pinned Shirai in the War Games
After
match.
she went over Ripley, I figured, she's going to be the next big force. But I thought she would have more character.
Me too. She's just tall.
Too bland for me.
But so now talked about Sarai. I think that she's going to be a pretty cool gimmick and a pretty cool wrestler for sure.
She'll be good. Hopefully she doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Hopefully they have some good.
I agree.
Pertinent things to do with her, mainly because we also have Frankie Monet around.
Right to talk about. Perfect time. And Frankie Monet, aka Taya Valkyrie, with the dog who, like you said, should be the #1 contender for the NXT champion. I literally love that. That was so funny. But Frankie Monet, she is in the NXT Performance Center and is honestly 100% going to be the next big thing, I would say. I cannot see her not being like prioritized. I feel like the whole urge to get her was kind of just because, well, she was in WWE a while ago, right? Was she on NXT signed and they did nothing with her? Because I know,
Possibly.
another one that people forget, Deonna Purrazzo was in NXT.
Yeah,
and
for like 5 minutes.
For literally like 5 minutes, and she did nothing. But I would say Frankie Monet could absolutely make a name for herself and maybe be the one to dethrone Gonzalez. I mean, I like Taya Valkyrie better than Frankie Monet, but that's okay.
I wrote...
She'll drop again.
I have one note from the Takeover event when they like played her thing.
With the dog or the little trailer?
The trailer, because I think that's when they announced that it was Frankie
Monet, yeah.
And I was,
I remember texting you because I knew that I saw people saying it.
And I was like, this is the stupidest name, and I don't like it.
Frankie Monet, because and it had the pink background with the glitter. It just said.
I was like, like could have been a better name, I guess.
Yeah.
You could have leaned on that Valkyrie kind of thing, because that's kind of a cool concept regarding a women's division. But
Leia Valkyrie, I don't know.
calling two women superstars up in a division where you have one
way
women's
too many
title
good women's
that has just been changed.
Yeah. No, dude,
changed guard.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they balance both of them. If one of them's going to get lost in the shuffle, I can see Sarai possibly getting lost in the shuffle.
Me too. Me too.
Put up against somebody like Taya Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Or Frankie Monet.
We can call her Taya Valkyrie.
But it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. You know, obviously other stuff to quickly touch upon. You had Karrion Kross come out, cut a quick promo, very cookie cutter promo, kind of just like I'm back on top of the division.
He has that what do you call it? The aggression.
He has the aggression.
Cut a good promo, but when you get that exact same energy and the exact same kind of like
when he regurgitates words that you've heard 100 times before, and it's not new, and then he just peppers in his catchphrase at the end of it. It's like
TikTok.
Yeah,
shut up.
It's like you can give us more than that.
100%
like he's very much capable of giving us more than that. I think most of that might be from maybe he's not getting the freedom to like work on his own promos, and they're kind of just sort of spoon feeding him to kickstart his title reign.
Fuck yeah! I mean, that might be the big thing too, because you look at a guy like Kross, who, to be fair, I knew probably 2% about this guy when he came into NXT.
I knew he had a reputation,
and I knew that he was a beast.
Yeah, I knew.
But the way that they have built him, he is supposed to be the greatest NXT champion of all time. The way that they're booking him, he's supposed to be the most dominant wrestler in NXT history. I
think only one of 4 2-time champs.
You have you have Balor, Shinsuke, Joe,
Cole, and him. Did Cole win it twice?
No,
or just once?
Once. Remember, first was Gargano's
win. Oh yeah.
Gargano lost, and then Cole defended twice. So Balor, Shinsuke,
and
Joe, and Kross.
So he joins quite an elite name.
An elite.
Very elite.
Elite.
And it's like, if you put the 4 of those guys in front of me and we're like, who do you want to watch? And
I'm 100% saying anybody besides Kross.
I'd be like, Kross.
Shinsuke.
And it's granted, he got hurt very early on.
And to be fair, that injury, like, you feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, very unfortunate.
Because he literally just did it.
It cut his momentum, and obviously he had to pick back up, and it's not his fault.
No.
But it's like, they should have worked back into it more than just having a quick runoff feud with the Cruiserweight champion.
Yeah, I agree.
Who he picked a fight with. That didn't make any sense to me.
Did I tell you about my, like, insanely bold prediction that I was going to... so I came up with a scenario that was not going to happen, and I knew that it wasn't going to happen, but something that I thought was cool. So you had Edge come on to NXT, and you pretty much had him say, I have my eyes on you, to Pete Dunne and Finn Balor.
Yeah.
And they announced that Takeover Vengeance Day. I personally would have done, because then Edge and Kross backstage, right? They see each other. Kross straight up says to Edge, I know, you never lost your title. And you want to get it back. But I never lost my title. So I'm going to get my title back. If you want to come back for what is mine, instead of going what you want, I will destroy you. Pretty much just like that. And it was actually one of Kross's best, work. And I thought, how cool would it have been to see Edge go to NXT and fight Balor or Kross for the NXT Championship? I thought that would have been one of the coolest things, because we have learned one thing about the Rated R Superstar Edge. He is amazing. He is still the same guy, I would say, with obviously more injury prone.
He can sell the emotional stakes of a match.
He can,
like not a lot of other
and he
people.
can hit good spots too.
Absolutely,
he's got some great spots in the sleeve.
He's a little bit limited now in his age, but I wouldn't say it's limited enough to
making him injury prone.
Yeah,
he has to be a little more careful.
But I mean, now Cross is calling out Cena, so you never know what's going to go on.
You never know. So we recapped night 1, night 2, couple weeks. Anything else we want to talk about? Imperium, we talked about. We did touch. I remember we were saying that they hopefully.
I want to wait and see what happens with Imperium.
I want to see them to be a dominant faction.
I see them, and I know we talked a little bit about who's going to pick up the mantle, and we can touch upon this on the next podcast.
Yeah.
Seeing what goes on tonight on NXT.
Yeah.
What is Imperium going to be that next
undisputed era
dominant group? Yeah,
for sure.
To take
no,
that
and
spot.
I mean, if you look at it, you got to make some tweaks because Alexander Wolf is not a mid card belt winner in my mind.
Because you got the other two, Eichner.
You have Eichner and Bartel, who are former tag champs.
Yeah,
they can be tag champions.
So that puts the pressure on.
Walter could literally be. I'm just saying this. I don't care. You can try to change my mind. Walter could be a unified champion. I could see him as an NXT and a UK champion.
Yeah, and that could be
put somebody like Devlin with the cruiserweight title, and then Thatcher with the North American title. Wouldn't that be amazing?
I would replace Sawyer with probably Thatcher or Devlin. I would love to see Devlin in that tiger role.
Alexander Wolf.
My bad.
Like Sawyer Fulton.
Oh man,
the Madman.
Flashbacks. What is he doing nowadays?
He's with Ace Austin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's Ace Austin's bodyguard.
Oof.
By the way, I know we keep talking about Impact. One of the matches of the year, Alexander defeating Ace Austin, TJP. Josh Alexander is going to be the future of Impact. I'm just saying. But yeah, I would love to see Dane, like you said, maybe in there, and they could be another tag team.
There's a lot
and they could take the NXT UK tag team.
There's a lot of story to tell on that roster from guys who work the UK scene and are familiar with Imperium and what they stand for.
They're just so bookable.
Exactly.
They're so easy.
There's
to
a lot of avenues you can take. So I would love to see them sort of push them in, work them in as kind of that intrusive force and have them work, segments with Thatcher. Are they going to turn? Are they going to stay loyal?
Yeah.
And then you can build up that could be your next War Games. That could be your War Games team 100%. Moving from now on. That you don't have Undisputed Era anymore.
100%.
You have Imperium.
Yeah.
And if you lock Walter in a steel cage.
Oh my God, that's going to be one of the most must-watchable matches ever.
It would be amazing.
He does moonsaults. He'll do a moonsault. I'm not taking a moonsault from Walter. I'm not taking. Would you? All right. To close off, would you take? I have two questions. One non-wrestling related. Would you take a chop from Walter, but he has to give you a chop every year, but you get $1 million or $10 million total, but Walter gets to chop you once a year? He chases you down and chops you.
Yeah.
You're taking it? I am not taking it.
For my a large amount of money?
For my skinny... Now, another one. Would you take $10 million total? Not a year, just once.
Might be setting the money bar too
high. No, but listen. If you had to take a Randy Johnson fastball every year.
To what? The face?
Anywhere he wants. He chases you and throws a fastball.
That dude killed a bird. So
yeah.
I mean...
I say no to both.
I'd say no to the Johnson fastball because that might cause some actual...
Bro, a mean chop from Walter. 4 years in, I'm dead. I'm in a coma 4 years in. He's not gonna be holding back. He's gonna right across my chest, bro.
I would take a Walter slap. I wouldn't take a funny story before we get off. We were doing a signing. I work at a action figure store, Heroes Hideout,
which we also will be incorporating into the podcast as well.
I'll talk about them because we do autograph signings. I've been fortunate to meet a lot of awesome former wrestlers, some current ones as well. We're having James Storm in.
I know. I can't go. I'm so jealous. I'm working. I'll have to have you freaking. I'll give you the money or
But
something.
we did a signing with Jake Roberts, and I was gonna have him hit me with a chair, but he wasn't feeling good. So
No,
we
he
didn't
did.
get to do it. So I almost took a chair shot from
Chair
Roberts.
shot from Roberts.
He was game for it too.
Really?
Yeah,
He was going to.
he was gonna, and then I was gonna take one from. I was gonna ask Gilbert if he wanted to hit me with a chair.
I don't trust Gilbert.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to get a concussion.
I don't trust
So
Gilbert.
You're gonna hit me hard, bro.
He's gonna Stevie Richards.
He's
you.
gonna Stevie Richards me.
Yeah, no. So I mean, to close it off, what to really expect from the podcast? We aim for a Monday, Tuesday uploading, just so we have enough time to either recap the past takeover or past NXT episode, but also touching on other topics. We didn't want to get everything that we wanted to get out here, but what to expect as well are lists, maybe fantasy bookings, and other problems like that we have with NXT, but as well as talking about figures, because we are both figure collectors. So if there's anything NXT related that we want to bring into the pod, we absolutely do. I'm going to I'm gonna leave in the link.
Gosh.
I was gonna leave in the description below. Our Instagrams. I'm gonna link our brand new pod Instagram, our personals, and then as well as we'll have emails and stuff that you guys can link out to. And if you guys have any questions, comments, or anything, just leave it down below.
Like a question thing.
Yeah.
That'd be dope. Yeah,
That'd
if you have any questions, or if you want to talk NXT with us,
absolutely let us know.
Send us all of your questions, concerns, and lovely words, and we would love to read them and respond to them.
We will definitely do Q&As, and I mean, whether it takes a couple of uploads for you guys to bring in questions, we'll try to get a set amount. So say if we get 10, 15 questions, whether it be who our favorite wrestlers are, or our favorite matches, or what you want to talk about, you put it down below. We'll respond to you. Once again, all of our socials will be in the description. And other than that, it was great talking. We talked about the takeovers, talked about the NXTs. This is Ciro with Stache Gordon. This was the Black and Gold Pod. Tune in next week.